Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's finally time to talk about Celtic heading to Livingston this weekend. We are back in action after what feels like a very long, an incredibly long international break. I'm glad it's over and done with. So we have the game to talk about, and we also have some massive news to discuss surrounding the derby allocations for next year's games, both at Ibrox and Celtic Park. We are finally getting some good news. It's about time. So let's not waste any more time and let's talk about that. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be very much appreciated as we head back into action this weekend. It's been a long international break. I thank you all very much for the support throughout it when it's been tough to, make excuses for content. We've done it and you've watched it, so thank you. It's time to talk about the real thing now. Should we start with the big news that came out this morning surrounding the ticket allocations for derby matches starting from next season? It has been years. We've been waiting for positive updates. We've been waiting on the two clubs to come to an agreement, and finally we have something that is a positive building block to start from next year. There will be away fans both at Ibrox and Celtic Park when it comes to the derby fixtures. Not to the full extent that we were used to back in the day, but as I said, it's a positive place to start. Here was the statement released by the SPFL this morning. New away ticket allocations for matches between Celtic and Rangers from the season 24-25. Following engagement with both clubs, the SPFL is pleased to confirm that Rangers and Celtic will provide ticket allocations of around 5% for away supporters for SPFL matches between the two clubs. This will be effective from the Scottish Premiership season 2024-25, subject to all necessary requirements being satisfied at both Ibrox and Celtic Park. It does not affect the remaining two league matches between the clubs in the 23-24 campaign, which will remain at a zero allocation for away supporters. So, very quickly, I guess we can touch on that last part. There won't be any away fans at Ibrox or Celtic Park in these next two games. The one on April 7th at Ibrox, and then the one to follow in the split fixtures at Celtic Park, which is a bit gutting when you consider the fact these are probably two of the biggest derbies in a long, long time. Maybe in the last 10 years, you're arguably looking at the two biggest derbies, and there won't be any away supporters. It's a bit gutting, but they've left it last minute. They haven't come to an agreement in time, and I had no faith whatsoever that was going to change when it got down to the last week or so, because they were never going to be able to organise and distribute tickets for Celtic supporters to head to Ibrox. So that is a bit gutting, but there won't be any at the next two games. But the positive thing is, next year we actually have a return of away spectators to look forward to. Fans who will meet criteria will have something to be incredibly excited about. We're bringing the derby back very slowly. It's a good first step. So a 5% allocation at both stadiums, which means Celtic fans should expect around 2,500 tickets next year at Ibrox, which is obviously a significant upgrade on the zero we currently get, but also a significant upgrade on the 750/800 that we were getting on the build-up to it being zero. Something that has been destroying the derby games for a long time. It's well overdue that we finally see fans return, or away fans return to both venues to make the atmosphere a bit better and to make the game ultimately what it's all about. Rivalry, tension, back and forth. We've been missing it, and it's completely destroyed the derby in recent years. It started way back in, 2017 now. So, you think about it, it's crazy how time flies. We're talking, the best part of a decade. We have seen little to none away fans at both venues. And it's just become tiresome, and it's become really, really, I'll use an American word here, lame. It's just brought the derby right down a bit. It's a proper tame environment compared to what it used to be. And don't get me wrong, I've been at Celtic Park many an occasion when the place has been rocking. When we beat Rangers 3-0 back in February of 2022, you think about that was insane. But that's not always a guarantee, especially if the game's not going your way. it can be an incredibly tame place to be, and you struggle to lift the team, I think. So this had to happen. 2,500 is what we should be seeing at Ibrox, 3,000 at Celtic Park, which is similar to the European allocations. Of course, UEFA declare that you need to have 5%, so Rangers, it'll look something a little bit like this in the corner of the stadium. Yet to be confirmed if it will be that exact corner. Of course, there has been talks of the Union Bears moving to the opposite end at Ibrox, which might mean we might see Celtic fans moved to where the Union Bears are currently sat, but right now I'm presuming it'll be in that corner pictured. And then at Celtic Park, very similar to what we see every European game, the corner and the away end, the away section, 3,000 Rangers fans will be packed into that corner to try and lift the away atmosphere from what it's been in recent years. So 5% is a good start. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm completely satisfied, because I'm not. I want it to be back to the way it was, 7,500 or 8,000 tickets, whatever the exact number was. I want that back. That was tremendous. I loved it, both for Celtic Park and Ibrox. It was just fantastic. And I want us to get back to there, but there always had to be a first step. There always had to be somewhere to build from. And now we've finally got that. It's been far too long. And any news is welcome news when it comes to an update and an upgrade on the amount of tickets that away fans will get. So, yeah, listen, if I'm speaking honestly, I don't think we'll ever see the return of 7,500. I think that both clubs have got to the point now where the amount of season ticket sales have bypassed what they were so many years ago. And I just think that ultimately both clubs are never going to budge, especially Rangers. And upping that number now from 5%, you know, this is kind of what we've been wanting, and we've got it, and they'll be kind of like, well, you've got your cake, now eat it. But listen, it's a good place to start. Roll on next season then. Of course, we don't know who's going to be champions heading into the 2024-25 campaign, but listen, whoever's visiting, it should be Celtic Park first next year, so the Rangers fans will be visiting Celtic Park in September time of 2024. It'll be interesting, to say the least. Interesting. So then we can finally talk about Celtic being back in action tomorrow against, not tomorrow, Sunday, against Livingston at the Tony Macaroni. Potentially the last time we'll visit the Tony Macaroni for God knows how long, because they're destined to go down. No disrespect. I mean it with all due respect, Livingston, but it looks like the end. Here is the current league table as we head into this weekend of fixtures. Celtic, of course, top of the league by a point at the moment, but Rangers with that all-important game in hand. Could there be a change? I don't know. We'll need to wait and see what happens. But Livingston, as you can see, right down, rock bottom, basically relegated at this point. It could be the last meeting between the two sides. Quite an emotional one. I've been going to the Tony Macaroni all these years now since they came back into the top flight, and it's been a fun day out. Wee Chiquitos before the game, and the bus to Livingston and back. I'll miss it. I really will. But listen, they've not been good enough this season. They only have 3 wins to their name in the Scottish Premiership this season. Celtic need to win. It's as simple as that. This cannot be a banana peel. This cannot be something that we slip up on now. The last game before the split fixtures. Before we play Rangers next week, and then it's the split fixtures. But it's the last game before that all-important derby, and we need to be going in confidence sky high. We went to the Tony Macaroni earlier on in the season, and we were really, really good that day. We looked confident, especially when there was a bit of anxiety surrounding the fact that Rodgers was back and Ange was gone, because Ange got us over that kind of Tony Macaroni bad juju, you could say. And Brendan Rodgers never had a great record there, but he showed earlier on in the season that he can carry on from what Ange Postecoglou established on that horrible surface, at that horrible place to go, the venue where we've had so much bad luck over the years. Brendan Rodgers kept it up. And for a team that has 3 wins to their name this season, I hope that remains the same. No red cards this time. Please, no red cards. I don't want to risk anything. We need to leave with all 3 points. Rangers are going to win on Saturday. That's a given. Rangers will get 3 points. They will go back top of the table. But if we want to keep that psychological advantage and just the numerical advantage, we will have more points than them. If we want to keep that advantage heading into the derby game and put the pressure on Rangers even more than it already is, we must win on Sunday and we can't slip up. Of course, the big thing heading into this game is that Brendan Rodgers won't be there. Well, he will be there, but he won't be on the touchline. He's been given that touchline suspension that he will serve against Livingston this weekend before returning to the touchline against Rangers the following weekend. He has commented on the matter himself, saying that he's disappointed, but he's going to just move on from it. There was an interview via Sky Sports that's on screen there, but you can go and watch it for yourself. Basically said he's disappointed, but respects the decision, and we'll get through it and look on to next week. Celtic did comment on the matter of the suspension, saying that they were disappointed in the result, but this was a statement. It's on screen. The manager appeared at the hearing today, and his defence was presented robustly and thoroughly. Like many other clubs, we will continue to press for the highest standards in relation to the VAR process in Scottish football. So the club's standing firmly by the stance that Brendan Rodgers took in his comments towards the VAR officials against Hearts. Rightly so, because the VAR quality is terrible. The refereeing quality is terrible, and it does need addressed. And Celtic, like other clubs, should be pressing for better than what we already have. So standing by their decision, but remember, Brendan Rodgers won't be on the touchline. It'll be John Kennedy and co against Livingston on Sunday, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. What ultimately does make the difference are the players on the park, and we've been waiting for the updates on that. So good news and bad news when it comes to the team selection process on Sunday, because we've had our fitness updates. We've all been very excited at the prospect of the returns. Cameron Carter-Vickers back to full fitness, Rio Hatate returning, Callum McGregor returning, Lewis Palma meant to be returning. We've been waiting for all of those updates and the news surrounding these players. It's a bit of a mixed bag. So Cameron Carter-Vickers and Rio Hatate are both available for selection on Sunday. Fantastic news. Will both of them start? That's another question, and we'll come on to that. The big one is, though, that Brendan Rodgers says that Callum McGregor could miss out this weekend purely down to fitness issues and maybe because of the pitch itself. Should be back next week. Should be, but looks as though he could miss Sunday, which is a blow. I don't care if Livingston are bottom of the league with 3 wins. Missing your captain and missing Callum McGregor has evidently had an effect on Celtic at times, and will evidently have an effect on Sunday, I guarantee that. So he looks as though he'll miss out. And do you know what? Honestly, when it comes to all 3 of these players, I wouldn't mind seeing them all rested, purely down to the fact that it's a horrible, harsh surface for footballers to play on, and it can cause injury, never mind make an injury worse. So if there is a wiggle room to not play these players, it could maybe be examined. But the worst part is you've got the derby next week, you need to get minutes in the legs. We'll talk about who I think will start the game in a moment, but that's the update on those 3. The update on Lewis Palma is that he'll be back for the derby next week. He won't be there for Sunday's game against Livi. So here's my team selection on screen now. I did have McGregor in here before the press conference was completed, so ignore my horrible graphic work. I'm just going to change that because I've already made the graphic. Shows you, don't rush in before the manager speaks. I've gone with this team, and you'll notice that Vickers is in there. Hatate isn't. Hatate for me should be someone who gets 10-20 minutes at the end of the game, minimise the risk of anything going wrong. And Cameron Carter-Vickers for me is somebody who needs to start the game to assure we win and ensure we keep a clean sheet and cause any stop any problems from happening. But if we go 2-3-0 up, get him off the park. I think it's as simple as that. Aside from the fitness problems and the injury issues, I think the rest of the team picks itself. Everybody else is fit, and I think that the team picks itself. It's a pretty straightforward one for me. So that's my team on screen. We need goals. We need to be doing what we've been doing okay in some recent games, and that's scoring chances. Ultimately, yeah. Remember, we played Livingston not long ago. We played them in the Cup, Celtic Park, and they brought the game to us. So there won't be fear to give it a go. We need to be robust. We need to be taking our opportunities and our chances. If we do that, we'll win the game. So I hope we do it. Right then, I've yapped for too long. This video's gone on too long for a match preview, so I'm going to wrap it up very, very quickly. If you've enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, your predictions and everything else in the comments below, and your thoughts towards the derby ticket allocations. I'll see you next time.